on this episode of Postcards.
The community of Battle Lake has really become enlivened by public art, this beautiful gallery.
Photography for me is really a study of composition and constantly looking at light.
I don't aspire to be a big famous rock star. I just aspire to create songs and share them with people.
This program on Pioneer Public Television is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008. Additional support provided by Mark and Margaret Yakel-Julien in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. ShalomHillFarm.org. The Arrowwood Resort and Conference Center, your ideal choice for Minnesota resorts, offering luxury townhomes, 18 holes of golf, Darling Reflections Spa, Big Splash Water Park, and much more. Alexandria, Minnesota. Explore hundreds of lakes, trails, and attractions for a great vacation or a place to hold an event. ExploreAlex.com. Tri-State Brain and Spine Institute, with locations in Alexandria, Edina, Crookston, and Maple Grove. Doctors dedicated to evaluating and treating all types of brain and spine problems, no matter how complex.
Early on, this organization, the Art of the Lakes Association, came out of a group of people of 11 artists who decided that they would like to share either their expertise by teaching others or just by watching each other and sharing what they knew about their medium. So a year later they started the Art of the Lakes League, it was called. They purchased a building, a town hall, for like $50, I believe is what they paid. And that became the first Art of the Lakes Gallery until 1998 when this building was purchased and renovated for the gallery it is now. When the city did improvement of Highway 78 through the town, the city decided at that time to go into a beautification project. The city gained a grant to create mosaic benches and planters and bike racks to enhance the amenities area of the street. Over 800 people took part in building those mosaics. So it was just a real community feeling to create those and then to see them permanently displayed in our street. The mission of the gallery is really to promote art and artists, and a big part of our mission is to encourage art in youth, in the school, and through encouraging them to take workshops and offering them scholarships in order to do that. One of the youth projects or community other projects we had was a 1-foot square mosaic project. So the people involved were to pick a famous artist, study about them, choose a piece of work, then take either a piece of that or the whole thing and put it into a 1-foot square mosaic. And that is now on display at the school all the time by the auditorium. We have artists here of all different kinds of abilities, from expert, long-time artists to beginners. We have mediums of every kind, 3D art, jewelry, paintings, drawings, and we also encourage not only artists, but people who are art supporters as well. The Art of the Lake sponsors, the third Tuesday of every month, a program for members and the public, and different artists in our membership give programs, workshops, either here or in their studios, to just share and let people see how things are created. And they do this just as a volunteer. In order to display in this gallery, this is not a juried gallery, so there's no one that's here to say this piece is not good enough or this piece is not what we're looking for. So basically what it is people have to join the organization, be a member, and then they have to agree to work 4 days of the year in the gallery, running the gallery, and it's an ongoing give and take of members to keep a gallery like this going in a community. Community of Battle Lake, I think, has really become, in the last 20 years, enlivened by public art, this beautiful gallery. Actually, the public art has made a huge difference in people making this a place to come and see art. It is contributing to the sustainability of this community, maybe to draw it out a little farther out of the summertime so that we have people visiting all through the year. My favorite part about this gallery is just talking with people when they come in, and I think other workers would say the same thing, would be just talking about the artists to people who come in and sharing the expertise of these artists, letting them know, where these artists are from. Basically, I just love being in this gallery because it's just full of such a variety, and that's one thing that people mention more, I think, than anything else. They say, you have such a variety of mediums and styles and of artists. But for me, I also display here, and so it's given me an outlet to further my art, what I do, and I think that's what every artist who is a member here appreciates about this, because they do have an ownership in this gallery and the association.
Are you a fan of postcards? Follow us on your favorite social media platform to get the latest news on upcoming episodes, behind the scenes, and more.
Photography for me is really a study of composition and constantly looking at light. At about 4 or 5 o'clock, the light just gets delicious. It's beautiful, and usually that's when I'm itching to go outside and take a walk and see what I see. I started with photography when I was really quite young. I was in 4-H, starting at age 11, and I would take lots of photos and I would teach some of the other kids about photography. When I was about 16, I learned to use my mom's SLR camera, which was a nice camera with a nice big lens, and And it was then that something happened where I really fell in love with photography. I was able to simplify the image and learn about textures and patterns and values. When I'm out there looking at what I'm going to take a photo of, it becomes a little bit more than just randomly taking photos. I'm trying to see something that excites me. I'm looking through my lens in a way where I can find something that I'm emotionally connected to. What I love about taking photos in this area is that I grew up in this area, so there's an emotional connection to the river and to the prairie along the river. My great-great-grandpa homesteaded just down the Minnesota River, so there's a dugout in the prairie overlooking the Minnesota River, and I always used to visit that as a child, and I loved it. This area is really special. It's very rural, and there are fewer people, but there's wide open spaces, and there's just so much space for an artist to do a lot of work and feel supported. In 2014, I was able to do the cover art for the Meander Art Crawl, and so this is the poster. These are 3 photographs that were simplified in Photoshop, and then Andy Common at A to Z was able to make block prints using them. Here's a few cards that I've printed out with some images. This is of Annika when she was, oh gosh, I bet she was 4 or 5. I never set up my images. They just happen, and I'm just trying to pay attention to the world around me. Annika just fortunately always wore a tutu and happened to be walking her bike out. You know, I think I'm constantly looking for the changes in values and how I can capture light. But in the winter, I love the ability to catch even more simplicity. I have an image that started a series called Winter Sketch. This was a series that I did when I was still in college and I was still working in a darkroom. But it's really trying to simplify this, using the snow as my sketchbook and then creating just images with whatever is in black, that those are the tiny sketches and the simplicity of the world around us. My husband Brad is a musician. We bought this farm because we fell in love with the site. We wanted to live in the country. We wanted to do some farming. We love living out here. We love raising our kids out here. We love growing our own food and just having wide open spaces. I think we've supported each other to be artists and to encourage each other to do the artwork that we want to do. So when I'm looking for quality of light, it really depends on whether I'm thinking that it'll become a black and white image or if it'll be a color image. If it's going to be a color image, having the less bright light gives you a more saturation, and so it's really exciting to get really rich, deep tones. If it's black and white, I probably typically look for more contrast in an image. A cloudy day can give a whole new composition and whole new light quality. When I'm taking photos, it's somewhat of a place for me to be very mindful. I sort of enter into a different state of mind, and I just love it. It's very fulfilling, and it's just a wonderful way to see the world through a camera lens.
Have an idea for postcards? Send your story suggestions to postcards@pioneer.org.
This is the old piano. When I started taking piano lessons in kindergarten, this is the piano that I started playing on. I grew up in a musical family. My dad's a drummer, my mother's a musician and singer. So I grew up with music in the house all the time. I started playing piano in kindergarten. I began playing tenor sax in 5th grade band. And then in 9th grade, I taught myself bass guitar. My songwriting process, I'm a musician first and foremost. And so oftentimes it just begins with a bass line or a little melody on the piano, or most often it's probably I write with some simple guitar riff is how the songs usually start. And then I just start fleshing out songs from an instrumentation standpoint. My lyrical writing is inspired by David Bowie and William S. Burroughs. I like to sit down and let the letters on the keyboard just remind me of words. Just stream of consciousness almost. Just write and then dissect that. David Bowie would print out or type out his lyrics, and then he would snip them into pieces and rearrange and come up with different lyrics that way. I'm very inspired by that when it comes to lyrical writing. A lot of writing for me, creative writing I should say, I do that way. So this space is technically my music studio. I do a lot of my demo recording, any recording. I usually have my music equipment set up in here. This is my creative space. It's more soundproof from the rest of the house, so it allows me to work at all hours of the day. I also have on the walls a lot of old show posters from shows that I've played with other people in the past. It's all meant to inspire the creative juice. My wife is an exceptionally good photographer. She and I have really, I think, enhanced each other's art. I think the beauty of Christy and I both being artists is we're both independent people. We both have this thing that we're passionate about. And we're able to rely on each other to critique each other's art. And to me, that's invaluable. Man on the Moon was born out of basically a somewhat solo project that I was doing at the time called Radical Boombox. Man on the Moon consists of my brother-in-law, Matt, on drums, my sister, Diane, who sings, my good friend Tony, who plays guitar, Tony Derrick, and Bryn Sias. She has been playing bass with me for many years. The impetus to record came when all of those components came together, all those players came together, and I felt like it was time to get into a studio. And so I got a hold of my friend Rich Mattson up at Sparta Sound, and we just went into the studio to lay down whatever we could over a long weekend. And we got 7 songs in the can, ready to finish, to flesh out. And then with that, I kind of sat on that for a while, because then I was gonna have to come up with more money to get the process done. But then I applied for a grant through the Southwest Minnesota Arts Council. And so that gave me the money that I needed to flesh out the songs, record a few more songs, finish them out, and also do all the art, have someone do all the artwork and press it onto vinyl. So the artwork, the front and back cover, and then the label on the record are done by my friend Amy Apps. She lives in Rochester now. The inside photograph of the LP was taken by a friend, Jonathan Day. He lives in England. Christy met him when she was studying abroad, and he took this picture long before the record was really a solid idea, before I knew it was going to happen, but I saw this photograph and said that needs to be part of an album. Aspire to be a big, famous rock star. I just aspire to create songs and share them with people. You know, that's what it's all about to me. Well, when I began the project, ultimately I was looking to get these songs out to the world. Somehow get them beyond me, get them out of the box. What I realized along the way is that's easier said than done. The process of a group of people learning a song, making it our own collectively, bringing our voices together. That's not a bad thing. That was a good thing, to go through that process, to have the other members, to have our voices come together. And it gave the songs a different feel, a different life. Some of the songs are they became somewhat different than what they were in the first place. And again, I welcome that. That's what I wanted in the first place. I was looking for that surprise, the unexpected, something new to come out of this bare bones structure that I had. The best thing that came from this project, and I believe it comes from any musical recording of a group of people, is documenting that time and space when people were together in a room making music. That's what it's all about.
You know you can watch postcards on your TV, but did you also know you can watch postcards and other Pioneer shows anywhere, anytime using Pioneer On Demand at video.pioneer.org. This program on Pioneer Public Television is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008. Additional support provided by Mark and Margaret Yakel-Julien in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. ShalomHillFarm.org. The Arrowwood Resort and Conference Center, your ideal choice for Minnesota resorts, offering luxury townhomes, 18 holes of golf, Darling Reflections Spa, Big Splash Water Park, and much more. Alexandria, Minnesota. Explore hundreds of lakes, trails, and attractions for a great vacation or a place to hold an event. ExploreAlex.com. Tri-State Brain and Spine Institute, with locations in Alexandria, Edina, Crookston, and Maple Grove. Doctors dedicated to evaluating and treating all types of brain and spine problems, no matter how complex.